music for a child's heart, body, and mind.
Hello, Saturday children. How have you been? It's been a while. As this Harvard back. Learning has started again. And I like us to pay attention as we go through the class for today. Alright, our class for today is a mathematics class. And the topic we're going to be considering is fraction and percentage. Fraction and percentage. We have learned these topics differently over time. But now we want to look at the relationship between the two topics. Of course, this is a symbol for percentage, as we all know. So I'd like to remind us about the definition for each of the terms, and then we'll go through the content of the lesson. I'll start with fraction. Fraction is part of a whole. Fraction is defined as part of a whole. And the whole, in the case of fraction, is always 1. That's the whole. So a part of it is referred to as fraction. Mind you, this 1 can exist in different forms. Forms like 1 or 4 over 4, which will still give you 1. It could be 5 over 5. It could be 6 over 6, and so on and so forth. But it will still give you the whole of a fraction. And the second thing to consider here is percentage. Percentage means out of every 100. Out of every 100. So when you say 2%, it means you're saying 2 out of every 100. And the whole in case of percentage is always 100. So that takes us to the next subtopic to consider today. That is conversion of fractions to percentage. Don't forget, we're looking at the relationship between fraction and percentage. So we are starting with converting fractions to percentage. As the class goes on, we will look at how to convert back from percentage to fraction. Alright, there is an important information for you to note here. When you are converting from fractions to percentage, all you need to do is multiply the fraction by 100 and you solve. I repeat, to express a fraction as a percentage, multiply the fraction by 100 and you solve. So I would like us to take 1 or 2 examples to understand what we are talking about. So example, the instruction says, express the following fractions as percentage. Express the following fraction as percentage. So number 1, let's say 1 over 2, which is a fraction. So we are to express 1 over 2 as a percentage. All you need to do according to our information is that you multiply this fraction by 100 over 1. And like you all know, when it comes to multiplication of fraction, we try to cancel out until we are able to do so again. Then we multiply the final answer. So in this case, 2 can divide through. So you say 2 here gives you 1. 2 in 100 gives you 50. Nothing can divide through again. So we multiply. 1 times 50 will give you what? 50. All over. 1 times 1 gives you what? 1. So what is 50 divided by 1? That gives you 50%. Remember, we're expressing a percentage. So, therefore, 1 over 2 as a percentage is 50%. So, I would like to take another example. For example, you have something like 3 over 5, which is a fraction, and you are to express this as a percentage. The normal thing to do is to multiply the fraction by 100. So what do you say? 3 over 5 times 100 over 1. You try to divide out. 5 here, 1. If you can't take this at once, of course you can break it down. 5 in 10 is 2. 5 in 0 is 0. Nothing can divide through again, then you have to multiply. 3 times 20 gives you 60 over 1 times 1. That will give you what? 1. 60 divided by 1 will give you 60%. So what do you say? Therefore, 3 over 5 as a percent gives you what? 60%. Alright, I would still like us to take more examples. For example, when you have something like 3/7 as a percentage, of course, you know this division will not give us a whole number like this. Our answer will either be a decimal or a mixed number. So all we need to do is multiply this fraction by 100 over 1. By 100 over 1. So we need to divide out. Nothing can divide out actually here. So what we need to do is we multiply it and later divide it out. 3 times 100 gives you 300. All over 7 times 1 gives you what? 7. So we try to divide out here using 7 to divide 300. Our answer will be either a mixed number or as a decimal. Or in some questions, instruction will be given that express your answer as decimal. So let's divide through. 7 here is 1. 7 cannot go in 3, so you add the second digit to make it 30. 7 in 30, that gives you 4. Remainder 2. You bring the 2 to the next digit, which is 0, to 4, 20. 7 in 20, that gives you 2. Remainder 6. So, as a mixed number now, your answer should be 42 whole number, remainder 6 all over 7%. That's as a mixed number. Or, if you are to express your answer as a decimal, you still go on by saying what? 300 divided by 7. 7 cannot go in 3, so you add the second digit to make it 30. 7 in 30 gives you what? 4, remainder 2. Bring it to the next digit to make it 20. 7 in 20 gives you what? That's 2 times, remainder 6. Now, 7 cannot go in 6. So all you need to do is what? You fix a decimal point at the end of your answer here and add 0 to the 6 to make it 60. 7 will go in 60. How many times? 8 times. You put the 8 here. That 8 times is 56. That means you have a remainder of what? Of 4. You can keep going like that. You can add another 0 to this 4. Since 7 cannot go in 4 to make it 40. 7 will go in 40. How many times will 7 go in 40? 7 will go in 45 times. That's 35. You have another remainder. But if you want to keep it to 2 decimal places, you stop here. So your answer in this case will be what? 42.9%. That's approximated to 1 decimal place. Alright, we go to the second part of the topic. We have gone over conversion of fractions to percentage. Now we are on the opposite side, conversion of percentage to fraction. Now, to express percentage in fraction, divide the percentage by 100 and you solve. Don't forget this is opposite of what we did earlier. And the opposite of multiplication is always division. So we multiply by 100 in the first case. In this case now we are dividing by 100. So let's take examples. Number 1. Okay, let me write the instruction first. Express the following percentages as fractions. So number 1, 25%. So like I said, we are to express 25% as a fraction. The instruction says we need to divide by 100 and we solve. So all we need to do is what? 25 divided by 100, which can as well be written as 25 over 100. So we need to divide. Don't forget, when it comes to fraction, your answer must always be in the lowest term. It means nothing can divide through both the numerator and the denominator again. So looking at this now, you know this is not the simplest form. Something can still divide through. 5 can go. So 5 in 25 gives you 5. 5 in 100 gives you 20. This is our answer. But you still need to check if this is the simplest term. 5 and 20, something can still divide through, which means this is not our lowest term. So you still use 5 to divide. 5 in 5 gives you 1, and 5 in 20 gives you 4. Now, this is the simplest form of this fraction. Nothing can go again. And that makes it our final answer. So what do you say? Therefore, 25% as a fraction, or 25% as a fraction is 1/4. Alright? Another example, example 2. Express 75% as a fraction. So, according to our instruction, we are to divide this by 100. So what do? 75 divided by 100, which can as well be written as 75/100. Remember, we can't leave it this way if it is not the simplest term. So we need to check through. Is there anything that can divide through 75 and 100? Yes, of course. 5 can divide. Don't forget how to tell numbers that 5 can divide. Numbers that end with 0 or 5. We have 5 go through them. So in this case, 5 can divide through this. Alright? 5 in 75 should give you 15. But in case you can't take it at once, you can take it one after the other. Like 5 in 7 is 1, remainder 2. To make this 25. 5 in 25 gives you 5. So you have 15. Then 5 in 100 is 20. In case you can't take it at once, you can as well break it down. 5 in 10 is 2. 5 in 0 is 0. That gives you 15/20. You still need to be sure that this is the simplest form before you leave it as your answer. So let's check 15/20. Can something divide through? Yes, 5 can divide through. How do I know? I have told you 5 can divide through any number that ends with either 0 or 5. This ends in 5, this ends in 0, which means 5 can divide through both of them. So 5 in 15 gives you 3, 5 in 20 gives you 4. And looking at this, nothing can divide through this again. This is the simplest form of this fraction, and that is our what? Answer. So therefore, 75% as a fraction is 3/4. Alright, I would like us to take another example. Now, I need you to understand that percentage can also be in fraction form. Don't get confused. For example, you have something like 2/5%. This is a percentage, but in fraction form. So don't be confused. It's not a fraction. It still remains a percent because you can see the sign there. But it exists in a fraction form. So the same thing you have done to others that are whole number is what you still do to this. You are going to divide this by 100. It's still a percentage. So what you do is 2/5 divided by 100/1. Normally you are supposed to bring this 100 here, but to avoid having 2 overs, so you leave it this way, divided by 100/1. Don't forget, when it comes to division or fraction, what we do is we change the division sign to multiplication and inverse the other part of the fraction. So how do we achieve that? That becomes 2/5. When you are dividing fraction, the division sign changes to what? Multiplication. Then this fraction here will switch, the component will switch position. 1 comes up, the 100 goes down. It has become multiplication. And of course, you know how to multiply fraction. We try to cut out or divide out before we multiply. So let's see if anything can divide out. Of course, 2 can go in 100. So 2 here, 1, 2 in 100, 50. Nothing can divide out again, so we need to multiply. 1 times 1, 1. 5 times 50 gives you 250. So what do you say? Therefore, it's the simplest form. Nothing can divide through the fraction again. 2/5% as a fraction is 1/250. Alright, students, that will be all for today. After now, you can check your classwork segment. You will find the classwork there, and the deadline for submission of the classwork is 1 hour after the class. 1 hour after the class, you are all expected to turn in your classwork. And for the homework as well, you can check your homework segment, which is expected to be submitted latest 12 noon tomorrow. The deadline for submission of homework is 12 noon tomorrow. That will be all for today. See you some other time. Bye for now.